Hi, this is Shu with a review of another Korean shoe. Pro Specs is the brand. This is actually a reinterpretation, somewhat of an update from their a classic design from the 90s. This is called Helios 95. Helios is the cushioning system that Pro Specs used in the 90s, early and mid 90s. It involved, I think there are other brands that had tried similar concepts. It involves an air capsule or encapsulated aerosol type of a setup, which involves when you're compressing or landing or when there's impact, the air is ventilated out. So the shock absorption works with the compression and the air release. At the same time, it had an interesting gimmick where the chamber is connected to the forefoot so that on the forefoot there are perforations and the air will be sucked out. The pungent hot air from the inside will be pumped in and out through the heel, and fresh air will be circulated. And that process also involves some level of cushioning, provides some level of cushioning while there's compression and that air circulation. It was a bit of a failure in my opinion, the original 90s version, because it was just way too soft. The moment you set foot on it, there's compression and you can hear the air being sucked out. So as soon as your foot leaves the floor, you can feel it pumping back up. But then if your shoe is laced on tight and your heel is in contact with the shoe, the midsole or the insole, so just your standing body weight alone causes a tremendous amount of compression and air release. So your heel to toe drop will be non-existent because your heel will be will be sinking in a little bit more than your forefoot. And at the same time, the EVA or the midsole foam they used was not as soft as the ones they use today. So it was a little bit firm on the forefoot, but there was crazy compression at the heel. So it's like a unintended jump sole type of setup. So it wasn't good for your fit. It wasn't good for your feet. It wasn't good for your performance. It's amazing how those Yonsei University the Yonsei University team actually won a championship trophy that involved other professional teams. So it just shows how good they were, despite the shoe. So this one, the updated version, instead of having super soft compression that just overreacts, this one actually has a dual capsule. On the outside, they have a firm hard TPU shell. On the inside, there's another little pillar type of a chamber where you can see it's connected to the exhaust and also the air circulation on the forefoot. It's a little tube there. So this gets compressed when you're stepping on it, when you're taking your hard first step, or when you're landing on your heel, or you're doing your step back, or whatever. So at first I was a little bit concerned that it might be a little bit too firm, but it actually works great in tandem with the soft midsole. The foam material, Pro Specs has been working on their labs to come up with all kinds of super soft, super responsive, or super rigid or firm type of foam. They've been experimenting with it, and I think they've been perfecting it. The foam cushioning itself is awesome, but at the same time you have this impact protection, and it actually cradles your foot and moves with your foot a lot better than I thought. And the more you wear it, the more it feels like it's reacting to your feet better. It's sometimes it gets compressed a little bit too much. Think about the LeBron Air Maxes. Sometimes you feel like your ankle might, flip a little bit. It's not that bad, but it does feel a little bit of an overcompression on the sides every now and then, but it's nothing too major. The important thing is that it works. There's another review who actually put a little mic here to show the air being sucked out, blown out when you're stepping on your heel. So it's definitely working, but you don't hear it like the old versions where they used to have, you could hear the sound all the way on top, no matter how far you are from your feet. This one, it actually works without making unnecessary noises. It actually works without making you feel like you have something on your foot when you're just standing on it. It responds when you need the performance. Durability, I don't know. Maybe some internal gimmicks could go wrong, but so far, so good. So far, it feels better and better every time I wear it. Mm, I'm not sure if they released it with the intent of making a performance wear or sort of like a retro tribute to a golden era of pro specs in the 90s. But regardless, it feels good. It feels much better, especially performance-wise compared to the original ones I wore in the 90s. The fit is, I would say, true to size. It does have a bit of a toe box space here. Not too bad, but it's just a little bit. The material is some very soft neoprene-like fabric material here, so there's a little bit of a give and good ventilation there. The leather is very soft. I don't know what they use, but it feels very premium. I don't know if it is premium quality leather, but it's good. It's sort of like a slightly, I wouldn't say mid, I wouldn't say low, something in between. So it's a good, nice in between cut. The padding on the collar, it's right where you need it to hug and cradle the ankle and your Achilles, and there is no pinching sensation anywhere, so that's great. The heel cup is in place, getting the job done, and the strap. Some people like this. Some people feel this is a must. I know a lot of old Kevin Johnson sneakers used to have this strap. Some Agassi tennis shoes wanted this strap. Personally, I don't see the need for it, but it does feel better when you lock it down, and they did a good job of choosing to use the scratchy, the rigid, scratchy, thorny type of part on here instead of putting it here. Because if you have that Velcro part here, it's going to be really messing up your shoes and your shoelaces when you stick and you got to peel them off. So this is a good design decision by Prospex. And I wish they had a bit of an extra lace loop here to help with the lockdown. Maybe they could have had a strap here or something. It's not too bad even if the lace loop starts here. There's another design with the same midsole and the outsole, but a little bit of a different upper. That one has a lace loop that starts a little bit lower. So if you're particular about lockdown, that's something you might want to consider. The outsole is the similar pattern as the ones they used in the recent release called the Helios Evolution, which did not have the Helios technology. This is the logo for the Helios technology with the air circulation that serves the dual purpose of ventilation, cooling, and cushioning, shock absorption. There's a nice deep pivot point circle here, which is great. That shows a lot of durability and traction. There are nice little grooves here to provide a little bit more mobility or flexibility when you're bending. There's a little guidance, impact guidance line that's been initially very popularized by the ASICS design and research crew, and they put it to good use here. The grooves are, the pattern is a herringbone pattern, is not too bad, and they're not stupidly direct, and they're not ridiculously copy and paste, lazily plastered there like some Adidas sneakers that's been disappointing us as of late. This waffle type of pattern reminds me a lot of the LeBron 8s and 9s and some of the patterns I had there, and those are pretty decent traction. This one provides good traction, not as crazy good as the Crazy Quick or the Curry 7s, but much better than the crazy recent lazy Adidas shoes that were out there that, you know, had copy and paste all floor, herringbone all over, lazy, but it didn't provide good traction. So this is, the traction is very good. And even though it looks not too crazy wide, the base is wide enough to provide a level of stability. You don't feel like you're gonna sprain your ankle anytime soon. And maybe it's this extra wraparound rubber here that it provides. There's no outrigger, but it provides a decent enough substitute to serve as an outrigger there. It weighs about 450 grams for a size 9, so that's a decent weight, lighter than the recent Jordan 34 lows. Did it weigh more than 400? Well, it's a pretty lightweight version. Lightweight shoes. The insole comes with, as I mentioned earlier, the perforation to help with the circulation. You don't feel that circulation as intensely as the ones they've had in the original 90s version, but instead it serves a better function of better shock absorption and cushioning. I don't feel the air crazily moving, but I'm sure they put a hole here for a purpose. They do have a certain degree of circulation. Otherwise, where's the air coming from for it to escape, right? It's sort of like an ortholite, but bit of a compounded with a little bit compound with some other type of substance, but it feels good. It feels, especially on the heel, they've added an extra layer of padding here so that you have a good heel to toe drop, and that's good job by ProSpecs. So it's not ortholite. It feels like a bit of a combination with EVA or PU, kind of like the insoles they've been using in the Curry series in the Under Armour. Curry 4, 5, 6, 7, they've all used this type of insole, and they are good. They're awesome. They actually have an exchangeable insole that's been included in the shoe. It's a little bit heavier, as you can tell by the sag. This is the polyurethane PU insole that's used in a lot of Adidas shoes in the 90s to provide, to be in charge of 50% of the shoe's full cushioning. So this certainly provides an added boost to the level of comfort or soft, mushy cushioning that you need. But it adds a little bit of weight as well. But yeah, even though this is supposed to provide a world of difference, but this is so good that it actually is lightweight, but it serves almost as good a purpose as this one. Also, the important thing is the insole, the midsole is the foam they use. They've been researching on a couple of items. Most recent one, they were called the Flubber. I don't know if they're going to get sued by Disney, but that's the name they went with. And they tried to come up with different density, different kind of responsiveness, different kind of firmness. They've even showed different level of rebound firmness or bounciness on the midsole to show how it works in different parts of the shoe. And they used a very soft, responsive, shock absorption, good, soft, responsive cushioning with a decent level of shock absorption. So it actually helps and works in tandem with this Helios new kind of 21st century Helios cushioning setup as well. And on the forefoot, the cushioning is really good. Even if you take out the insole, it feels so soft, like it's got some kind of a React or Lunar Lawn on the forefoot.